Ethan Cross wiped the sweat from his brow as he made his final rounds through the mining station's outer perimeter. The night shift at Asteroid Station Omega-7 was usually quiet, just him and the endless void of space visible through the reinforced windows. As the station's chief maintenance engineer, he'd grown accustomed to the solitude. Finding peace in the gentle hum of life support systems and the distant glowing of nearby stars, the emergency beacon's shrill alarm shattered the silence. At exactly 0347 hours, Ethan's heart jumped as he rushed to the monitoring station, his weathered hands flying across the control panel. A small craft had crashed in Sector 12, barely registering on their sensors due to its size and the strange energy signature it emitted. "What the hell?" he muttered, pulling up the external cameras. The vessel was unlike anything in their database, its hull shimmering with an opalescent quality that seemed to shift colors in the station's floodlights. Steam rose from its damaged exterior, suggesting recent atmospheric entry. Protocol demanded he report the crash to headquarters immediately, but something held him back. The craft's design was clearly non-human, and Ethan knew what the corporation did with alien technology they couldn't understand. They studied it, weaponized it, and destroyed anything they deemed threatening, grabbing his emergency kit and plasma cutter. Ethan suited up and ventured outside. The asteroid's low gravity made movement easy as he bounded toward the crash site. Up close, the ship was even more remarkable. Its surface warmed to the touch, despite the frigid vacuum of space. Strange symbols glowed faintly along its hull, pulsing. Like a heartbeat, the ship's airlock had been partially torn away in the crash. Ethan carefully cut through the remaining debris, his helmet lights piercing the smoke-filled interior. Inside, bioluminescent panels provided an eerie blue-green glow, illuminating what appeared to be a small escape pod's cramped cockpit. That's when he saw her. She was curled in the pilot's seat, her body trembling with pain or fear. Her skin had a lustrous silver quality, like polished metal, touched with starlight. Her hair fell in waves of deep indigo around her shoulders. She wore a form-fitting suit that seemed to be made of the same shimmering material as her ship, though it was torn and stained with what looked like luminescent blood. When she sensed his presence, her head lifted, revealing eyes of the most incredible violet Ethan had ever seen. They held intelligence, desperation, and something else that made his breath catch in his throat. A profound sadness that seemed to echo across the vastness of space itself. "Please," her voice resonated. Not through his helmet's communication system, but directly in his mind, soft and musical, yet urgent with need. "Please help me, human. They hunt me for what I carry. I have nowhere left to run." Ethan's rational mind screamed warnings about contamination protocols and corporate regulations, but something deeper responded to her plea. He'd never experienced telepathic communication before, yet it felt natural, intimate even, as if she'd reached directly into his soul. "Who's hunting you?" he asked aloud, kneeling beside her seat. Images flooded his mind, dark creatures with eyes like burning coals. Ships that moved through space like predators stalking prey, and laboratories filled with specimen tanks containing things that should never exist. He saw her people, beings of incredible beauty and grace, being systematically hunted and captured for purposes too terrible to fully comprehend. "My name is Naya," she continued, her mental voice growing weaker. "I'm the last of the Astari, and I carry within me the genetic memory of my entire species. They want to use it, to corrupt it, to create weapons from our gift of communion with the cosmic forces." Ethan reached out instinctively, his gloved hand gently touching her arm. Even through the suit's thick material, he could feel warmth radiating from her skin. "You're safe now," he heard himself saying, though he had no idea how he could possibly keep that promise. "I won't let them take you." Naya's violet eyes widened at his words, hope flickering in their depths like distant stars coming to life. "You would risk everything for a stranger? For someone not even of your species?" Ethan looked into those extraordinary eyes and felt something shift inside him, connection forming that transcended species and logic. "Yes," he said simply. "Yes, I would." The station's medical bay had never housed a patient quite like Naya. Ethan had managed to carry her injured form through the maintenance corridors, avoiding the main thoroughfares where security cameras might record their passage. Her ship's strange energy signature had somehow scrambled the station's sensors, buying them precious time before anyone noticed the crash. Naya's wounds were healing at an remarkable rate, her silver skin knitting itself back together with threads of light that pulsed beneath the surface. Ethan watched in fascination as she explained her physiology through their growing telepathic link. Her people's connection to cosmic energies allowing them to regenerate damage that would cripple most species. "Your touch helps," she admitted, her mental voice softer now, tinged with something that made Ethan's pulse quicken. The Astari respond to emotional resonance. "Your compassion, your willingness to protect me, it strengthens my healing abilities." Ethan sat beside the medical bed, his hand resting gently on her arm. The skin-to-skin contact, even through her biosuit, created a warm, tingling sensation that seemed to flow between them. "Tell me about your people," he said. "So special that someone would hunt you across the galaxy." The images Naya shared were breathtaking. The Astari had been a peaceful species, their cities built from crystalline structures that channeled starlight into beautiful patterns. They could communicate with the fundamental forces of creation itself, shaping matter and energy through harmony rather than technology. Their genetic code contained not just biological information, but the accumulated knowledge and spiritual essence of countless generations. "We were living libraries," Naya explained, her violet eyes glistening with unshed tears. Each of us carried the wisdom of our ancestors, the secrets of cosmic manipulation, the ability to nurture life on dead worlds. But Zenith Corporation saw only weapons potential in our gifts." Zenith, Ethan's blood chilled. His own employer, the company that paid his salary and provided his home, had orchestrated genocide. "They're the ones hunting you?" Before Naya could respond, alarms began blaring throughout the station. Red warning lights bathed the medical bay in crimson as the automated voice announced, "Unidentified vessels approaching. All personnel to stations. Lockdown procedures in effect." Through the viewport, Ethan could see sleek black ships emerging from hyperspace, their hulls absorbing light rather than reflecting it. They moved with predatory grace, surrounding the mining station like wolves circling wounded prey. "Shadakin," Naya whispered, terror evident in both her voice and her thoughts. "The corporation's most ruthless hunters. They can track Astari life signs across vast distances." Ethan helped her to her feet, noting how she leaned against him, her body still, weak from the crash and healing process. The simple contact sent warmth spreading through his chest, a feeling of rightness that defied the dangerous situation they faced. "There are maintenance tunnels that run throughout the station," he said, his mind already plotting their escape route. "If we can reach my personal shuttle in Bay 7, we might have a chance." They moved quickly through the station's hidden pathways, Ethan leading while Naya's hand remained clasped in his. Her touch provided comfort and strength to both of them, their connection deepening with each shared glance and whispered word of encouragement. The sounds of forced entry echoed through the corridors above them, followed by the distinctive hum of energy weapons. The Shadowkin were systematically searching the station, their methods as efficient as they were ruthless, in a narrow junction between tunnel systems. They were forced to wait as hunters passed directly overhead. Pressed close together in the cramped space, Ethan became acutely aware of Naya's proximity. Her breathing was quick and shallow, whether from fear or their closeness, he couldn't tell. Her silver skin seemed to glow softly in the darkness, and when she looked up at him, the trust in her violet eyes took his breath away. "Then," she whispered, her mental voice intimate and vulnerable, "whatever happens, I want you to know that. Finding you has given me hope for the first time in cycles. Your species may be young, but you have something my people lost long ago, the courage to stand against impossible odds for what you believe is right." Without thinking, Ethan reached up to cup her face gently, his thumb brushing across her cheekbone. Her skin was incredibly soft, despite its metallic appearance, and warm like sunlight on summerstone. "We're going to get through this," he promised. "I won't let them take you." Naya's eyes fluttered closed as she leaned into his touch, a soft sigh escaping her lips. For a moment, the danger surrounding them faded away, leaving only the two of them in their small sanctuary of darkness and possibility. The moment was broken by the sound of cutting tools above them. The Shadowkin had found the tunnel entrance. "Run," Ethan breathed, taking Naya's hand as they sprinted toward Bay 7. In whatever uncertain future awaited them among the stars, Captain Alina Torres was not the kind of woman who asked too many questions, especially when the price was right and the cargo looked like it could handle itself in a fight. Her modified freighter, the Stellar Wanderer, had seen better days, but she'd kept it running through sheer stubbornness and a talent for finding profitable ventures in the galaxy's shadier corners. When Ethan and Naya stumbled into her ship's cargo bay, desperate and clearly running from something dangerous, Torres made her decision quickly. The young engineer's credits were good, and the silver-skinned woman with him radiated a kind of power that Torres instinctively respected. "Shadowkin hunters, you said?" Torres asked as they lifted off from the mining station, her weathered hands steady on the controls despite the pursuing ships. "Well, that explains why they're paying so well for information about Astari survivors. Didn't think any of your kind were still alive, darling?" Naya sat in the co-pilot's seat, her violet eyes fixed on the stars beyond the viewport. "The last," she said quietly. "The only one who escaped their final purge of our homeworld." Ethan stood behind her chair, his hand resting protectively on her shoulder. Over the past few hours, their connection had grown stronger, their thoughts and emotions beginning to blend in ways that both thrilled and terrified him. He could feel her pain as if it were his own, but also her growing affection for him, warm and bright as a newborn star. "Tell him the truth," Naya Torres said gently, her gruff exterior hiding a surprisingly compassionate heart. "He's earned the right to know what he's gotten himself into." Naya turned to look at Ethan, her expression vulnerable yet resolute. "I carry more than just genetic memory, Ethan. The essence of my people, their accumulated knowledge and spiritual energy, it's all stored within my consciousness. With the right conditions and enough time, I could potentially restore the entire Astari species." The revelation hit Ethan like a physical blow. "You mean you could bring them back? Your whole civilization?" "In theory, yes. But the process would require enormous amounts of cosmic energy and—" She hesitated, her cheeks darkening to a deeper silver. "And a willing partner whose life force could anchor the regeneration matrix. Someone I shared a deep emotional and physical bond with." The implications hung in the air between them. Torres cleared her throat diplomatically. "I'll be on the bridge," she announced. "You'd have some things to discuss." Alone in the observation lounge, Ethan and Naya sat together on the curved bench facing the massive viewport. The stars streamed past in brilliant lines as the ship traveled through hyperspace, creating a tunnel of light that seemed to mirror the connection forming between them. "When you touch me," Naya said softly, "I can feel your life force resonating. With mine, it's stronger than anything I've ever experienced with another being. My people had a word for it. Gelthara, which roughly translates to soul bonding." Ethan took her hand, marveling at how perfectly their fingers intertwined. "Is that what's happening to us?" "I believe so. The Astari only experience such bonds. Rarely, usually once in a lifetime, and only with someone who complemented their spiritual essence perfectly." She leaned closer to him, her voice barely above a whisper. "Ethan, I need you to understand what this means. If we pursue this connection, you'll be bound to me in ways that transcend physical existence. Your human lifespan would extend to match mine, potentially thousands of years, but you'd also be taking on the responsibility of helping me restore my people." Ethan studied her face, noting the hope and fear warring in her violet eyes. The logical part of his mind cataloged all the reasons this was impossible, insane, and potentially catastrophic. But a deeper part of him, the part that had compelled him to save her from the very beginning, already knew his answer. "What if I want that responsibility?" he asked. "What if spending eternity with you doesn't sound like a burden, but like the greatest gift imaginable?" Tears of liquid starlight began to flow down Naya's cheeks. Before she could respond, Ethan leaned forward and gently kissed them away, his lips brushing against her silver skin. The contact sent waves of pleasure and connection through both of them, their consciousness merging for a brief, overwhelming moment. Ethan, Naya gasped, her hands coming up to frame his face. If we do this, there's no going back. You'll be choosing to leave your entire species behind to help me rebuild mine. Ethan looked deep into her eyes, seeing not just Naya, but the potential for an entire civilization of beings like her. Beautiful and wise, and desperately deserving of a chance to exist again. Then we'd better make sure we do it right, he said. This time when their lips met, it was Naya who initiated the kiss, pouring all of her gratitude, hope, and growing love into the contact. Ethan responded with equal passion, their bodies pressed together as starlight painted patterns across their entwined forms. In that moment, surrounded by the infinite cosmos, two souls from different worlds began the process of becoming one. The holographic display flickered to life in Director Marcus Kane's private office aboard Zenith Corporation's flagship research vessel, the Prometheus. The man who materialized in the blue light was tall and gaunt, his cybernetic implants glowing softly in the dim lighting. This was Agent Morse, Zenith's most effective hunter and Kane's personal enforcer. Report, Kane commanded, his fingers steepled as he studied the hologram. The mining station yielded nothing, Director. The Astari female and her human accomplice escaped before we could secure them.
However, we did recover fragments of her.
Vesselin were able to extract genetic samples from the crash site. Kane's eyes gleamed with predatory satisfaction. And the samples confirm our theories about the Astari's capabilities? Beyond our wildest projections, sir? The genetic material contains not just biological information, but quantum-encoded data structures that interface directly with cosmic energy fields. If we can decode and replicate these patterns— Morse paused, his expression troubled. Speak freely, Agent. Sir, the implications are staggering. We're not talking about creating enhanced soldiers or improved terraforming capabilities. This genetic code could grant us the power to manipulate matter and energy on a fundamental level, to reshape reality itself according to our will. Kane stood and walked to the massive viewport that dominated one wall of his office. Beyond the reinforced glass, the Prometheus's research bays were visible, filled with specimen tanks and experimental chambers that held horrors from across the galaxy. 20 years ago, Kane began, his voice taking on an almost reverent tone. We discovered the Astari homeworld purely by accident, a routine survey mission that changed everything. Here was a species that had transcended the need for traditional technology, beings who could commune directly with the forces that govern the universe. Morse remained silent, having heard parts of this story before, but never the complete truth. They welcomed us initially, eager to share their knowledge and help us evolve beyond our crude mechanical understanding of physics. But their leader, an ancient being called the Prime Harmonist, sensed something in us that concerned him. He began to limit our access to their most sacred knowledge, claiming humanity wasn't spiritually mature enough to handle such power. Kane's reflection in the viewport revealed a face twisted by old bitterness and consuming ambition. So we took what we needed by force. The Astari's pacifistic nature made them easy targets once we understood their biology. We harvested thousands of them, studying their genetic structure, mapping their consciousness patterns, learning everything we could about their abilities. And now only one remains, Morse observed, the most important one. Naya carries within her the complete genetic and spiritual legacy of her entire species, concentrated into a single being through their final desperate ritual. With her, we won't just gain access to Astari abilities, we'll be able to create an army of enhanced humans with godlike powers. Morse shifted uncomfortably. Director, our intelligence suggests she's formed a significant emotional bond with the human who freed her. If the old Astari texts are accurate about their bonding rituals, then we'll use that connection against them both, Kane interrupted. Love makes people predictable, Agent Morse, vulnerable. Prepare our best tracking teams and notify all corporate stations to be alert for the pair and Morse. Yes, sir. When you find them, I want them both taken alive. The human's neural patterns may prove useful in understanding how their bond functions. And the Astari female will be far more cooperative if her beloved's life hangs in the balance. 3 sectors away aboard the Stellar Wanderer, Ethan woke. from a deep sleep to find Naya standing at the viewport in their shared quarters. Starlight painted silver patterns across her naked back, and he could feel her distress through their strengthening bond. "What is it?" he asked softly, moving too. Stand behind her and wrapping his arms around her waist. "Dreams," she murmured, leaning back against his chest. "Memories from my people's final days." I can see Kane's face, Ethan. "I was there when they first came to our world, a young Astari barely past my first century. Seemed so eager to learn. So fascinated by our ways." Ethan pressed a gentle kiss to her temple. "What changed?" "Power corrupts, even well-meaning individuals. The more he learned about our abilities, the more he wanted to possess them rather than earn them. When the Prime Harmonist tried to restrict his access to our most dangerous knowledge, Kane revealed his true nature." Naya turned in Ethan's arms, her violet eyes reflecting the pain of her memories. "He's the one who ordered the creation of the Shadowkin Hunters. He's the one who turned our gifts into weapons. And now he wants to use me to create an empire built on the bones of my people." "He won't get the chance," Ethan said firmly, his hands cupping her face. "We'll find a way to stop him and restore your people at the same time. Is that a promise?" Naya asked, her lips curving into a small smile despite her tears. "That's a vow," Ethan replied, sealing it with a kiss that left them both breathless and more determined than ever to protect what they'd found together, unknown to them. Agent Morse's ships were already closing in on their location, guided by the quantum, a signature that all Astari unconsciously emitted when experiencing strong emotions. The Prometheus hung in space like a mechanical cancer, its massive hull bristling with weapons and experimental equipment. Inside its primary laboratory, Naya hung suspended in an energy containment field, her silver skin glowing with an inner light that pulsed in rhythm with her rapid heartbeat. Director Kane circled her like a predator examining its prey, his eyes reflecting the cold satisfaction of a hunter who had finally cornered his quarry. "Remarkable," he murmured, studying the readings from the various sensors trained on her. "Your people's final ritual was even more effective than we theorized. You don't just carry their genetic legacy, you've become a living repository of cosmic energy itself." Naya's violet eyes blazed with defiance despite her helpless position. "You understand nothing about what you're trying to steal, Kane. The Astari's power comes from harmony, from connection and love. It cannot be taken by force without being corrupted beyond recognition." Kane's laugh was sharp and humorless. "Love, connection, such quaint concepts. Power is power, my dear, regardless of its source. And soon, I'll have enough of it to reshape the galaxy, according to Zenith Corporation's vision." In the detention bay 3 levels below, Ethan fought against the neural restraints that kept him paralyzed but conscious. Agent Morse stood nearby, his cybernetic implants monitoring Ethan's vital signs as the humans struggled futilely against his bonds. "Your emotional distress is causing interesting fluctuations in her energy patterns," Morse observed clinically. "The bond between you is even stronger than our models predicted. She's drawing power from your life force to resist our containment systems." Through their telepathic connection, Ethan could feel Naya's pain and terror, but also her fierce love for him burning like a star in the darkness. That love gave him strength, and slowly, impossibly, he began to break free from the restraints that should have been unbreakable. "Fascinating," Morse continued, noting the readings. "Your neural patterns are actually adapting to match hers. The bonding process has progressed much further than we realized." Ethan's eyes snapped open, blazing with an inner light that hadn't been there before. "You made one critical mistake, Morse," he said, his voice carrying harmonics that resonated through the ship's hull. "You assumed the bond only flowed one way." The neural restraints shattered like glass as Ethan stood, cosmic energy now flowing. Through his human body and patterns, he instinctively understood. The Astari ability to manipulate matter and energy at the quantum level had been awakened by his love for Naya, transforming him into something new, something that transcended the boundaries between species. Morse reached for his weapon, but Ethan's newfound abilities allowed him to move faster than the cyborg could track. A touch of Ethan's hand sent Morse's implants into cascade failure, leaving the agent unconscious but alive. Throughout the Prometheus, alarms began blaring as Ethan made his way toward the laboratory. Guards tried to stop him, but their weapons and armor proved useless against someone who could restructure matter with focused thought and willpower. In the lab, Kane watched in growing alarm as his containment systems failed one by one. Impossible, he breathed. Humans don't have the genetic structure to channel cosmic energies. Love transcends genetics, Naya said softly, her voice carrying despite the failing containment field. It transcends species, transcends individual existence. That's what you never understood about my people's power, Kane. It was never ours alone to begin with. The laboratory doors exploded inward as Ethan arrived, his human form now crackling with Astari energy patterns. But the effort of channeling such power through an unmodified human body was taking its toll. Blood ran from his nose and ears as he struggled to maintain control. "Ethan, no," Naya cried out. "Your body can't handle this much energy. You'll burn yourself out completely, and we'd better make this count," Ethan replied, pouring the last of his strength into shattering her containment field. Naya collapsed into his arms as the energy cage failed. Their bodies pressed together as cosmic forces swirled around them. Kane backed away, his face pale with terror as he realized what was happening. "The restoration ritual," he whispered. "You're actually going to try it." Naya looked up into Ethan's eyes, seeing the love and determination there despite his rapidly failing human form. "I can save you," she said urgently, "but only by completing the Gel-Thera bond completely. Your consciousness will be preserved, but your human body will become something new," Ethan finished. "Something that can help you bring your people back and protect them from monsters like Kane." Their kiss was gentle despite the chaos around them, a moment of perfect connection as two souls chose to become one. The energy released by their complete bonding sent shockwaves throughout the ship, overloading systems and opening portals in space itself. When the light faded, Kane found himself facing not two separate beings, but a unified entity that embodied the best qualities of both species. Ethan's human determination and creativity merged seamlessly with Naya's Astari wisdom and cosmic awareness. "This ends now, Kane," they said in perfect unison, their combined voice carrying the authority of creation itself. The director's empire began to crumble around him as his victims' children, the new Astari, born from love rather than experimentation, began to manifest throughout the galaxy. The mining station where it all began became the first of many worlds where human and Astari worked together to build something beautiful and lasting. And in the space where the Prometheus had been, two lovers danced among newborn stars. Their eternal bond, a testament to the power of connection across any distance, any difference, any obstacle that the universe could devise.